Thank you for coming. I am Councilwoman Rossetti. I am substituting for the chair tonight for Councilwoman Surgeon, who is busy working at her job. Little notice before we start. HPA-TV will be broadcasting tonight's City Council Planning and Economic Development and Housing Committee meeting live on Comcast TV Channel 96 and Frontier TV Channel 6032. It will also be streamed live on HPATV.org and HPA-TV Facebook page. It will then be made available for future viewing on the HPA-TV YouTube channel. So that's our comment before we start. So as I said, I am Councilwoman Rossetti. I'm substituting for Councilwoman Surgeon tonight. With me, I have Councilman Sanchez, Councilman Gale, and I believe that's it for council people. And would the others go around and identify themselves? Why don't we start with Randall?
Good evening. My name is Randall Davis. I'm Deputy Director of the Department of Development Services here in the city of Hartford.
Richard?
Good evening. I'm Richard Vasallo with the Corporation Counsel's Office here in the city of Hartford.
And I think, Amy, I think you're with us too.
I'm here. Hi, everyone.
Okay, and Amy, tell us your title.
Yes, Amy Chambers, Director of Planning within Development Services.
Thank you. And we do have Councilwoman Bermudez with us. So we have a quorum, so we will start. Our first agenda item is a communication from Mayor Bronin with accompanying resolution allowing the conveyance of an easement in the South Branch Park River corridor for the purpose of maintaining an existing multi-use path and constructing an extension to this multi-use path. It was item 3 on the council agenda of October 13th, 2020. I do believe that I'm told that someone from Developmental Services is going to speak to this. Is that correct?
Yes. So essentially, the Planning Division is preparing to embark on a design concept for the trail along the South Branch of the Park River. This is the second part of a trail which was designed quite some time ago. The trail will cross over land which is owned by the Housing Authority, and the staff have been in communication with the Housing Authority with regard to either an easement or transfer in order to be able to locate that trail in that area. And so the staff are seeking approval from council to allow Mayor Bronin to enter into an agreement of that type as we proceed with this project.
And as I understand it, this is an extension from the existing one that was started in like 2009, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Do any of my colleagues have questions? Councilman Sanchez.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure I'm familiar with this trail. So this trail or the strip of land that we're looking to acquire is on the east side of the South Branch of the Park River, correct?
Yes, and it may not be an acquisition, Councilman. It may just be an easement that we enter into with the Housing Authority. It's likely that the Housing Authority will need to approach HUD for whichever sort of agreement we do enter into with them. So it may take a bit of time. But it is a section of land along the east side of the river, as mentioned.
Okay, and then right now, isn't there one that exists from Flatbush Avenue and running parallel to Brookfield Street, coming all the way to, I believe, to New Britain
Dart
Avenue?
Street. I don't know if it goes to New Britain. I think it goes to Dart.
Correct.
Dart
It goes
Street?
to Dart. Yes. So this is the same trail. This is just another phase of that trail. It's meant to be a multi-use walking, biking trail. And we are looking to basically extend the trail to finish this portion of the project.
So basically the extension would be from Flatbush Avenue going north.
From Flatbush Avenue going north. Yes.
Okay. I
Yes.
just want to make sure I'm aware of which section that is. And then are there any plans to continue that trail going south from Dart Street?
At this time, no, we're kind of just focused on that section. But I wouldn't, necessarily rule that out in the future.
Okay, and just my last question. So is this the same section that the NRZ Southwest Behind the Rock's been involved with?
I believe that the NRZ has been involved in the sense that they are aware of the project and aware of the potential extension of the project. I do know that or the future extension of the project. I do know that they've requested a meeting for additional information. But the actual design of the trail or any of the work kind of associated with that implementation has yet to begin.
And just so you know, Councilman, we specifically sent an email to Jim and Kathy to let them know that tonight's meeting was happening, just in case they wanted to come on.
Okay, appreciate that. And the only thing I'm looking for, with as far as the planning is that because recently I've been doing some research on the different types of material that's used for this trail. And obviously, there's a lot of areas that has the asphalt. And the asphalt is fine and works, but regarding to the maintenance, it can possibly deteriorate quicker than later, or sooner than later, right? Because of the natural elements of upheaving from underneath, the frost, and also the lack of funding for maintenance, with the city of Hartford. And I'm just hoping that these plans incorporate something that's more sustainable, possibly stone dust is what I was looking at. There is some other materials that uses some kind of adhesive, but yet still keeps it porous for when it rains. And I just want to make sure that, this trail's planned, right where, it has low maintenance, but yet still accommodate the coding for ADA. ADA, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention that Council President Rosado is on. We missed Paul Ashworth, who's a new employee, and we will be speaking to Carrie Shea, Charles Morrison, and Jonathan Clark in agenda items 2 and 3. So any other council people? Councilman Gale.
Sorry, thank you. I couldn't find my unmute button there. So I got a little confused, Amy, in your conversation with Councilman Sanchez and in reading this resolution. So I just want to go through this again. My understanding is that this trail starts at Flatbush Avenue right now and extends along the Park River, in between the Park River and Brookfield Street, from Flatbush Avenue, headed down towards Dart Street. That's kind of already been laid out. Am I correct about that?
Yes, you're right. I do apologize. I misspoke.
So, but the extension is going to be to take it all the way towards Newfield Street and eventually to New Britain Avenue, isn't it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so I think Councilman Sanchez may have misspoke when it said north, because I think the way the crow flies, that's extending this thing south.
That's correct.
Okay, and so ultimately the goal is to have a trail that is accessible from New Britain Avenue that you could take that would bring you right all the way over to Flatbush Avenue.
Yes, my apologies.
That's no problem. I just want to make sure, everybody's understanding what I'd love to see a trail, by the way, north of Flatbush Avenue. That's kind of a no man's land there. Certainly every time I drive by, it's just loaded with litter and not terribly attractive. So anything we could do to fix that up would be great, but one thing at a time. So appreciate it. Thank you.
And could I just, other council people before I make a comment? Sorry. Can I ask, how do we, if we're extending it, how are we going to maintain it? Because I don't think it's been maintained very well, I would say recently, but I don't want to say forever since it's been done. I mean, what are our ideas on maintaining it if we're also now extending it?
Yes. So part of the conversation that we've been having with regard to that, the project, is that the maintenance element. When the prior project was completed, unfortunately, the maintenance agreement was not necessarily set up, and part of the project is on, I believe it's property owned by certainly by the Housing Authority, and then I believe that there's some land that is either Eversource or MDC, one of the utilities. And the city needed to have a maintenance agreement set up and easements set up to be able to carry out that maintenance. We are now basically looking at the second part of the project, trying to work with the Housing Authority to obtain the proper easements for the entire stretch of the project so that it can be properly maintained by DPW moving forward, or through a contract that perhaps DPW has with another entity. We have had those conversations with DPW, and we are planning on making sure that that is worked into this agreement moving forward.
Councilman Sanchez.
Chair, this is why I was concerned as far as the planning part of it, portion, because there are materials available that can be used so that is it's highly low maintenance and it won't cost the city as much.
And if I may, I would just add that through the planning process, we'll have representation from DPW as well to weigh in on that, so that those types of materials are taken into consideration for the purposes of maintenance of the trail moving forward.
And Ms. Chambers, would that be taken into account when, the original correspondence from the mayor, stated the $1 million grant? Would that be something that we would circle back with them as far as what Councilman Sanchez is talking about?
Do you mean with regard to like what materials are used?
Right, yeah, because if it's talking about, the design and construction, at what point do we want to make sure we have input at the ground floor, so to speak, not after the fact?
Yes, so there is a request for proposals out for a consultant to assist us through the planning process for design of the trail itself. And the staff, in partnership with that consultant, will create essentially a timeline of public meetings and design struts in order to begin to address some of those elements. And there will be within that a series of opportunities for the public and for council to be able to weigh into that process.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Any other council people?
No, can you send us an invite?
I can send you an invite when a schedule has been drawn up. We have just an RFP out right now, so it's going to be a bit of time before we have a consultant on board and develop an engagement schedule. But yes, I would be happy to keep the council in the loop of what that schedule looks like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Gale. You gotta unmute yourself.
Sorry, I make a motion to send this back to council with a favorable recommendation.
I second.
Second.
I'm sorry. I have one more question. I'm sorry.
All right. Yeah.
I'll make it quick through you, Chair. Amy, is this the same project that Sandy Fry has been working on?
This is the project that Sandy has been negotiating essentially the terms of with DEP. The project has not commenced yet, so I'm not sure if you're talking about another project that's maybe gotten started, but this is not one that's that has commenced design.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. It will be passed on favorably to the,
Rossetti,
what? Ooh,
Rossetti, I'm sorry, I'm having problems logging on from my laptop. I'm on my phone, so I really can't see everyone.
Okay.
I'd like to recuse myself from this item.
oh, that's right. Okay, yes, okay,
For Housing
yep,
Authority.
Council President Rosado will recuse herself. Yep, okay, got that. So that brings us to agenda item 2 is a communication from Mayor Bronin with accompanying resolution confirming the appointment of Charles F. Morrison as a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. It was item number October 26, 2020 on the City Council agenda. And I believe we have Mr. Morrison here with us this evening. Hello, Mr. Morrison.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much. So you are interested in being on the ZBA, the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have your resume in front of us, and you seem to have some knowledge and history. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, I am a resident of Hartford. Yes, I've been living in the city for 21 years now, and I've worked with the town of Waterbury as a zoning enforcement officer, 2007 until 2018. Then I moved to the town of Wethersfield, where I am currently a zoning enforcement officer / property maintenance officer. I'm also the liaison to the Board of Appeals in Wethersfield, as I was in Waterbury. So I've seen a lot of different things that comes before the ZBA, the variances, the appeals, special exceptions. And so I think I have a wide knowledge of what goes on with the Board of Appeals and the residents who find themselves in a situation where their property has a unique feature that they can't make use of it, just like the other surrounding neighbors. So they most times seek variances, and we have to look at it rationally and objectively and see where we can help these citizens to have a better use of their property.
Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Do I have any questions from my colleagues? Councilman Sanchez.
I have a question that's not pertaining to this. Does Development Service have to still stay with us unless they have to respond to item number 4?
I don't. I'm asking about 4. If it's going to be, as we were saying, if it's going to have a public hearing, what exactly are we doing with it tonight?
I think we should. I believe we should postpone it until the public hearing.
Okay, so is that what we would do with it? So we're not going to need developmental services. Sorry, Mr. Morrison. Hold on a minute.
That's fine.
That would be up to Councilman Gale, I believe.
It's your resolution, John. Your ordinance. What do you want us to do with that? Do we let developmental services go, or do we do something on number 4?
Oh, I always like to see my folks from Development Services participate in all of these things. But and not to take time for Mr. Morrison here, but I do believe that the chair asked that we, among other things, postpone this as well.
Okay.
That's my understanding, that the chair would very much like to participate in the presentation of item number 4. And that due to her duties with the election, she's unable to join us tonight. And so when we get to that, I would be making a motion to postpone it to the next PDH meeting.
All right. All right, good point, Councilman
Second.
Sanchez. Thank you, Councilman Gale. So I know everyone from Developmental Services wants to stay on the line, but I'm also saying if you don't want to stay on the line, we won't take it personally. So we'll go back to Mr. Morrison. So back to Mr. Morrison. Do any of my colleagues have questions of Mr. Morrison? Councilwoman Bermudez.
Not so much a question, but just a comment. Thank you, Mr. Morrison, for submitting your name and wanting to be and wanting to serve in this additional way. It's always great when we see alignments in terms of what the work that people already do and their passion and their interest, and then wanting to serve in the city in other capacities. So I just wanted to say thank you.
You're welcome. It's my pleasure to come on board, and I'm really looking forward to coming on board.
Excellent. Councilman Gale?
And I would like to echo Councilwoman Bermudez's comments and thank Mr. Morrison for his willingness to come on board and volunteer. And Mr. Morrison, my day job is that of a lawyer, and I've spent many a night in front of a zoning board of appeals, sometimes very late into the night, and you are probably...
Don, stop. Don't discourage him already. He didn't even come on yet.
I believe he's probably familiar with it in his capacity as zoning enforcement. And but I'm just letting the public know that sometimes these ZBA meetings can be very taxing. You know, thank you for being willing to donate these what are sometimes long hours that are put in, you know, for the betterment of the city of Hartford and its residents. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other colleagues? Being none, is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to send it to council with a favorable recommendation.
Second.
Second. Who seconded? Someone?
Councilwoman Bermudez.
Okay. Is there excuse me. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, recusement. We will pass that on with a favorable recommendation. That brings us to, thank you, Mr. Morrison. That brings us to agenda item 3, which is a communication from Mayor Bronin with accompanying resolution confirming the appointments of current alternate member Jonathan Clark as a regular member and Carrie Shea as an alternate member to the Historic Preservation Commission. It was item 3 on the agenda of October 26, 2020. I believe they are both here with us. They are in the same they're in the same agenda items. So why don't we speak to the current alternate who's becoming a regular, and then we'll speak to the person who's going to become an alternate. So we'll start with Jonathan Clark.
Oh, you want me to introduce myself?
Yeah, you can do that. Just tell, I mean, we do have your resume, which does say you are, I believe, like the realtor to the stars or something. I forgot what it said.
I once was, but not anymore. But a handyman to the stars.
Oh no, handyman to the stars. I was very impressed. So
that was a moniker years ago as well. So those days are fading. But lived in Hartford since 1976 and homeowner since '79. And came onto the commission in the 90s. I replaced a commissioner who died, who was a resident of my neighborhood. And so I've been involved on the commission as an alternate since then, and would be glad to move up to a permanent position at this point. So,
thank you, Mr. Clark. Any comments or questions from my colleagues? Councilwoman Bermudez.
Comment, just wanted to say thank you, Jonathan, for always serving the city and its community.
Thank you.
Councilman Gale.
Yeah, and likewise, thank you, Jonathan. And just to point out to folks that might be listening that Mr. Clark lives in the Asylum Hill neighborhood and has one of these wonderful old homes in Asylum Hill himself that he's been the curator of for many, many years. And so happy to have him on board to help us continue to curate the historic properties of Hartford.
Thank you. And like the cobbler's kids who have no shoes, my house is not finished yet. While I'm working on everybody else's, mine takes a back seat. So, but someday.
Well, plumbers don't plumb, and you know, so forth and so on. So we also have now with us Carrie Shea, Ms. Shea, who is looking to be the alternate, and we have your wonderful resume here also, a Hartford resident. Would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I currently live in Hartford on Columbia Street in the George Keller Historic District. I grew up in Bloomfield, and I have worked in community development, predominantly affordable housing, for about 40 years now. I'm very active in my neighborhood here in Frog Hollow. And I've renovated a few houses, and like Jonathan Clark, I usually get them to at least 90%, and then live in them like that for quite a while. And I would be delighted to serve on the Historic Preservation Commission.
Thank you very much. Comments from my colleagues? Councilman Sanchez.
Yeah, I also would like to thank both Jonathan Clark and you, Carrie Shea, for having the interest and the time to put into this committee to make sure that we preserve what we still have. As you know, especially from back in the 70s, we've lost quite a few beautiful architectural buildings, and it's my understanding that we will have about $10 million introduced or used for the development or the renovation and development in the Asylum Hill area. And I hope you guys do get involved with that to make sure that we retain the beauty of these architectural homes.
Any other comments? And I think I'd like to say not only to the residents that are here tonight, but all the residents who volunteer their time and energy and efforts and thoughts to all the boards and commissions of the city of Hartford. It's tireless work, and we wouldn't be able to do it without folks. So thank you very much. So are there any other comments or questions? Being none, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to send it to council favorably.
Second.
Motion.
Okay, I have a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Oppose, abstain. It will be moved forward favorably. So now number 4, I'm told that we're going to postpone that. Councilman Gale?
Yes, I would make a motion to postpone this to the next regular meeting of the Planning and Economic Development and Housing Committee. And as I said, this is a request that does come from the chair, who would love to be here and participate in the discussion. So the motion is to postpone it so that the chair can be available to participate in that discussion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Aye.
abstain. Okay, motion to postpone will be sent back. And then that will bring us, thank you everyone, that will bring us to the end. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to my colleagues. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Wait a minute. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, good. Have a good night. Thank you.